Good evening, YouTube. It is 9 p.m. in the great state of Texas, and what we're doing today is we're building a table. I think the next couple of tables are going to be the projects we're going to put out for the remainder of the month. But you guys have seen me make tables before in the past, and I got to say, this is probably one of my least favorite tables that I've made. What we're doing is we're taking basically just some plain old boards that we picked up at Home Depot. Actually, we picked them up at Lowe's, and it's just craft wood. So if you know anything about craft wood at Lowe's or Home Depot, it's not the greatest quality of wood. It's basically just supposedly 2x4x4 pine boards that basically are crooked, not straight, and you got to plane them. You get all these shavings, and you basically have to do a lot of work with them to make them somewhat usable. So I'm not going to bore you with the whole planing process. You guys have seen me do that before. Now we're just trying to take it over to the joiner and try to make something somewhat straight. And we're just going to do a basic glue up. We're going to try to take some pine and make it into something amazing, essentially. And here I am trying to make some YouTube shorts. And hey, here's a fun fact, because I got some interesting comments about when I posted that little short video of me just doing the glue up. I don't sell those brushes, or at least not that I know of. Maybe I do. I don't know. There might be a link in the description, but it won't be for this video. So we glued that up basically 3 weeks later, because, man, I have just been busy with work and everything else going on. I hadn't had time to do anything else. So a lot of sanding left to do with this, because the boards, even though I put everything through the planer, I put everything through the joiner, if you leave anything out for a long period of time, it's going to just not be the best. So you got to do a lot of sanding. And I am so sorry for the gyroscopic camera work. I had my camera out, and West Texas wind, if you know anything about that, is not the best. It's just shaking all over the place. I tried to do everything with the belt sander, but I had to come back with my hand planer. That is a micro hand planer, by the way, as if you can't tell, and pick up all this glue and try to plane everything down. And I need to get a bigger planer, because, man, this was just killer on my fingers, essentially. And again, sorry for the camera work. It's not my best work. And as much as this table looks kind of cool at the end, just a lot of work went into sanding, planing, replaning, taking the belt sander, trying to get out all of these imperfections. It's just hard working with non-quality products. I mean, I picked up these boards at Lowe's, and they're like, basically trying to find a straight-ish one is hard enough to do. If you guys have ever worked with Lowe's wood or products, or even Home Depot, it's the same story over there. And I just don't have the funds to, or I just can't spend the crazy amount of money on like a piece of nice walnut, as much as I would love to. So it's basically taking, scrap wood that is already kind of wonky and trying to make it somewhat straight and make it into something awesome, essentially. But hey, for all my amateur woodworkers out there, if you just put in the work, you can make something cool out of stuff that's not cool. And again, sorry for the earthquake shaking video. I wanted to put this video out, so, sorry again for the camera work. So here we are, just trying to jazz up the edges here, just taking the router and just trying to make a smooth little edge with it, which came out pretty cool. This just gives it a little something extra, I think, and just a little bit of detail work. So here we go. Once we got everything, planed, sanded, now we're just going to, prep the area with some pre-stain, essentially here, and just saturate this as much as possible. We're only going to do one side of the table and the edges here, so we're just taking it and just making sure it's everywhere, and the wind isn't as bad right now. So thank goodness the camera is not shaking itself off the tripod. So then we just come back a little bit later. Really dark walnut color is what we're using for this one. Last video I used a different type of stain, and this one, originally I was not a big fan of this. So I'm doing this, and I'm not really feeling the color of the actual, wood itself. And there's Tacklebox in the background. He's our local stray cat that we feed. That's his house right there. He shares it with a couple of other cats. But this is what it looked like once it was all dry. And then here I am just putting the polyacrylic top coat on top of it, just to kind of seal it. And people killed me in the comments about not using a foam brush. I use a foam brush. I think it turns out great. I really don't have any issues with it. If you don't like how I do it, then maybe go watch some other woodworker, essentially. But I think it turns out fine. If you're an amateur, I think this works absolutely perfect. So then once we did that, now we're going to burn the bottom of it. and we're just gonna, because nobody's gonna see the bottom essentially. So I just, took the torch to it and just gave it a little character here, just in case, I don't know, somebody sees the edges. But we did that, burnt it. That's what it looks like. Going with my standard table legs that I get off of Amazon. Really like these. I've used these in the past, and they work great for what they're supposed to do. So, table came out okay. I mean, for the boards being super crooked and everything we did, everything else kind of just works out. But here we are just drilling our pilot holes, and then we're just going to take some epoxy, mix it up, put the screws in there, pop that right in, and it works for what it needs to do. So basic table, I think it looks great. Wasn't happy with it originally, but for what it was and what it started out as, I think the table looks great. So, sometimes as an amateur, you make things and you try to, slap some lipstick on a pig essentially, but I think it looks good. So hope you guys liked it. Hope you got something out of it. And we're going to make a couple more tables, so look out for those. And I'm also over on TikTok if anybody's interested or cares, and I'll see you guys in the next one. All right. Peace.